So have you ever tried to make a hard decision, one that you thought about for a long time, but you never really came to a conclusion, until many days, many months, maybe even years? That method is called ruminating. And I recently ruminated a lot about moving to a new apartment in Boston. My whole living situation with roommates and I didn't have any control over the layout of the place. It just made me not want to live there. So I wanted to move, but when I looked at the price of things, it was a little bit past my budget, at least I thought. So I just said, maybe I'll just wait, make the decision later. Well, I waited and waited and waited, and 7 months went by. While that might not be important for most people, for me, I like to be efficient and I just want to make stuff happen in my life. So I did a little research on how to make a decision, because obviously I was struggling with it, and I actually came up with a simple method that a lot of people use when they have a tough time with this. So the main 3 steps to this process are like this. 1, you got to schedule time to make something called a pros and cons list. Then 2, you need to actually make the pros and cons list. And 3, you have to be accepting of the emotions that come up when you make the small decisions in the list. Step 1. Step 1 is you need to write a pros and cons list. This decision you're about to make is huge. So you need to break it down into small bits, binary decisions that you can make, and to help alleviate the big decision. Okay, step 2 is now you actually go to your event that you made on your calendar and you sit down for 2 to 4 hours and you make your pros and cons list. Now, the pros and cons list should have 2 types of information. 1, it needs to list the benefits of the decision. And 2, it needs to address the concerns that your mind brings up once you start making those tiny decisions. For example, this apartment that I wanted to move into was going to be awesome. That was definitely a big pro. I'd be able to have my own space and do what I want in it. I could design it any way I wanted and not have to worry about, people messing up my stuff or I don't know, just not having a clean house. So if I want to be messy, I want it to be my mess. So those are all good pros that I put on my actual list. And I've included a link to it if you want to check it out. So the pros are easy, but the cons are a little bit harder. For instance, what would happen if I got an apartment and my whole lease got too expensive? How would I feel then? Also, aren't apartments in Boston a lot more expensive? So wouldn't I feel maybe a little scared if I went broke? So what I did was I put these down on my con side of my list. When I went over the whole list, overall, there were many more pros than there were cons. The cons, though, I took a look at them and I went line by line. Does this make me feel uncomfortable now? Yes. Okay. Spending a lot more money on an apartment makes me feel a lot more uncomfortable. But is it worth it if I'm maybe living the life? Maybe I'm living the thug life? Is it worth it? And yes, I would like to live the thug life, whatever that means. So that decision was easy to make. I'd much prefer to live on a cool street downtown than to save money, because I've been saving money and it's okay, but I don't know, I want better experiences. I want more interesting. So that was easy to make, that decision. And it was a very simple one once I saw the information in front of me. that information I didn't have before making the pros and cons list. So as you can see, at least for that particular decision, it helps. And lastly, step 3 is your mind is going to come to a point of understanding that this is a great decision, but your body will still feel the resistance of the emotion that says, I'm not ready for this, because basically that's the pattern that you've probably been in for a long time. So first the mind has to kick in with the rational side, the logical side of it, and then the body will kind of adjust itself as you go. It could take up to a few hours to maybe even a couple days. Okay, if that video helped you at all, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear how it went for you.